Yes, so I think that that inspired by or influenced by D&D is true in a sense, but it's not what actually is going on. Because if somebody is now making up a roguelike, he probably is not inspired by D&D, but he will be inspired by games like that or whatever. So he
secondhand inspired.
Exactly. But
there's this idea that those pen and paper, the chainmail. Well, you know, because D&D was sort of inspired by chainmail, right? It came from, which was, you know, like Warhammer type miniature tactical combat game. Yeah. And that to me is almost because D&D became a role-playing game as it moved away from that tactical combat route. And a lot of people make fun of D&D in the role-playing community as still being very tactical combat. Yeah. And so it's sort of roguelikes sort of go right back to that route of, you know, I've got my character, I'm moving my miniature through the X-grid.
Exactly. Yes, you could actually make a tabletop roguelike.
Yeah, actually someone did. There's
of Ado, right?
No, a roguelike was done as a tabletop role-playing game called, I think, like roguelike or something, which you actually, you know, you play, you put down random tiles for the rooms when you open them.
Actually, Descent is a little bit like this. If anybody knows Descent, that's a war game. And you have a party of four, but you have it's a bit random. So sometimes yes, and yes, but there are some actually random later in the expansion packs. So because they figured out that the fixed levels are boring, and then they provided some rules for creating stuff, and then actually you have random functions. Of course, the population is not random, but you are getting there. So yes, it has a feeling. And of course, you could make a free-form roguelike without any levels and anything, but most still have them. So I think it would be worth to point it out somehow. It's not. I don't think it's top level because it's not as defined as the others, but I still think it's something to be in mind. But I don't know how to put it. I mean, influence by D&D somehow it is true, but it's also not in other ways.
What do you mean classes, basically? Fighter,
no, I mean it's that. I mean having strength and charisma and levels and so on.
And well, the idea of quantifying those stats.
Yes, actually, everything is discrete about roguelike, right? And that's also discrete.
Because it's not so much that you have strength, dexterity, constitution, whatever the right order is. It's that you've actually come up with stats sort of in the first place.
Yeah.
And because Rogue only had a few stats. Like what stats did Rogue have? Strength.
I don't know. Call has 3.
Yeah, and so it's like Powder has 2, but they're hidden from the user. And, you know, I've tried to ignore them since I accidentally added them. But
what are they called?
I think strength and like mental power or something like that.
So it's like intelligence.
Yeah, the intelligence stat I don't think it's ever used, and the strength stat is used to determine how easy it is to open doors.
The other one is not used.
I don't remember. I don't think so.
Oh,
it's assigned to various people. There's no way to find out what it is.
So it's not a whole thing.
Yeah, like hit points, for example.
Yeah, hit points are levels.
Hit points is a very powerful idea, which is very common.
So one should probably say that in many roguelikes akin to pen and paper role-playing games, properties of the character are abstracted numbers. That's the part.
Not only properties of the character, just in order to describe the world, the objects in the world, often numbers are used as measurement.
Yes, and it's not. I mean, use is clear. I think in every game you have to use numbers because that's the way it is. But you are showing them to the player, so the player sees them and he compares intelligence 3 to strength 6, and then so it's an obvious mechanic. Well, I think in every game you have to use numbers.
Well, I think that ties down to it being much more of a tactic game than tactic simulation than it is a role-playing simulation. Because in Sheep's role-playing example, he talked about having the die or the kill button, right? To either commit suicide or kill the person I'm fighting. And that's a true role-playing type situation. Whereas in the tactic world, you want the system to automate that decision of who dies in combat. And do so in a predictable manner according to predictable rules, which requires you to know the numbers.
So do you think that's the logical part? Yeah, it's
because I think because it's already integrated into the point of being a tactical game, not a strategic game. Also,
Do we have that on the list? Tactical versus strategic?
we have technical aspects.
But I think the point here is that you can have a game either
but the tactics and strategy
Have to be learned.
no, yeah, but the point is
It's
not
different. It's different.
the point is not the difference between tactics and strategy. The point is the difference between a game whose whole point of existence is to tell a story versus a game whose point of existence is kind of like mechanical. It's the game mechanics, the attributes, the puzzles, the going.
Yes, but of course, Arnold and Boga try to do both, and still they have the stats and show them and players use them. It is an open game mechanic, so I still think it is something. So a roguelike can have a story or not, because it's its own choice, but it will usually show the numbers, or at least some of the numbers it uses to the player. And this is what you wouldn't have to do this. You could have them integrate.
So, like, more of a technical game than role playing. Would you describe this one?
More about
I always thought of it as a scale from Twitch to tactics to strategy, where this might be incorrect, but Twitch is your Street Fighter A, B, I need to do the right combo and actually type it in fast enough to respond to the person's attack. The tactics is, in the battle with these orcs, how I move about, which spells I use, and which locations. And the strategy I put as more of the long-term resource management.
Yeah.
So like in something like Warcraft, it's a lot of that's the strategy component, where the tactics, I just throw all my
Strategy is usually long-term goals, like dungeon level 5 when I have Jarl level 6 and those resistances and stuff.
So in roguelikes, I'd say the strategies aren't that complex.
it's not that important.
It's pretty much I have the same strategy every time I play. Like in NetHack, I say I want to have one character level per dungeon I go down for the first 10 levels or something. You got that fixed strategy. Well, since I'm like Warcraft, you want to change your strategy based on the enemies and stuff. Your long term, why don't we start building archers because I see they're doing this kind of thing. And whereas the roguelikes are about the tactics of that immediate combat, whereas in Warcraft, I just throw my troops in the slaughterhouse and I don't control them individually. Not very Warcraft players.
As I told you, I'm trying to add strategy in Chrome. So in order to make the long-term stuff more interesting. It's a long game, and I think you should react by making the long-term planning more interesting.
Yeah, but it's not a.
No, it's not a roguelike.
It's something useful in a roguelike, but
Yes,
it's not.
It's not defined.
So, not.
I still think that it's peculiar how we change the numbers and how we show them to the player. I think that is.
Okay, I've noted for the numbers I wrote in order to describe the world and its object, often numbers are shown to the player.
Exactly, this is important, yes. Because every game will use numbers, because that's the only way we have. But the roguelike will show them to the player, and the player will manipulate them. Actually, I think there are often too many numbers in the roguelike. And whenever I try to remove a number from a chord's display, there's a huge shout by the community. So I think we have hidden gold, and we have hidden the turn count, and there was an outcry of protest. But I think that there are way too many numbers on the screen. But still, that's the way how we do it.
So, where do we put it? Middle, high, low, particular?
But definitely not high. I mean, it's just common. I mean,
It's almost like we need a separate area, which is the, commonly used features or something. I don't know. Yeah. As opposed to.
Well, right. It has an effect on the gameplay.
Yeah, it does.
So I think it's not just the way designers choose in order to respond something. In some kind they are forced to do this in order to do the roguelike. For example, does your game show these numbers? I didn't see
I saw them on top of people's heads as they hit people.
Not only that, your whole stats are displayed at the right of the
Okay. Yeah. So you do this too.
Yeah, I love numbers. So.
Well, I tended to avoid numbers with powder.
Yes, I think that's good.
Which ran me with lots of complaints from users that want to see
Yes, of course.
weapon damage. And, you know, the whole trouble, of course, is my whole trouble with numbers really comes into the weapon issue, namely, and I'm guilty of this myself. I got my long sword or my short sword. Which one should I use? Well, the game should tell me which one does more damage per second per whatever. And it's sort of like, usually it actually doesn't matter too much, like, because we follow the D&D theory, which randomly assigned dice damage to various weapons, and just completely arbitrarily, and that sort of became canon for, you know, long sword does 1d8 and short sword does 1d6. Well, of course they do. It's like, have you been hit by either of those? That's 2 points less maximum damage with that sword. But you know, so it's better if players just play with the weapons that they want to play with, rather than worrying about the numbers that have to be there.
Yes, this is what I'm saying. I think the design should go for the new or naive player, and the pro gamer can optimize the weapon all day long, and they do. So I've seen this. So there are some players on the core channel, and then somebody comes up and says, I have a +3, +4 road X or flaming, and they have +5, +5 double sword of nothing, which is better, and then they will come up with something. They know this. It's amazing, but this is something I would never do.
It might not be something they ever needed to see this
they know this.
before.
They know this.
Because, well, in Ultima Online in the early days, there was a long period where it was assumed that the halberd was the most powerful weapon, did like the most damage or something like that. Then, so everyone would walk around with a plate mail and a halberd and attack things. And then all of a sudden there's this belief that swept through that the Executioner's Axe was better because its damage per second was higher. Everyone switched to the Executioner's Axe. I have no idea where the people actually got those numbers, if they were legitimately done, or it just became one of these stories or fancies where they all did the same damage behind the scenes. It almost doesn't matter. They could have all done the same damage as 1d10 for all weapons, and people still pick their katana over their short sword because they think it's better.
Yes, and this is one. I think you should not give all the numbers included. At least, so I think that you should assume as default that the player does not need the numbers in order to play the game. I think that's the same assumption. It is. I know that players want numbers, and you can think about how and in which way you give it to them. But the game should be playable without this amount of numbers. And of course, consistency for me means that I would expect that a long sword that's somehow more damage than a short sword, but a short sword probably has some advantages in using it for whatever reason. For example, in studying it's probably better than that, what I would expect. But as I say, I play unspoiled, and I would expect that it's possible to play unspoiled, and the category still makes some sense.
Yeah. From a consistency point of view, there's a good argument to say all weapons should do the same damage. Because, you know, if long swords always did more damage, they wouldn't ever make short swords, right? It's like, there's different situations with short swords. If you're lined up in your legion, you want your little gladius because you can't swing a big, broadsword someone beside you.
And if it's a sword, not a sword, if it's a swift and a little easy one to kill, and actually dagger might be better as you would expect. And of course, the combat mechanics aren't as good as they should be, and it doesn't work like it should be. But that's what I would expect, and I wouldn't bother the player with any more details than you need to do. Of course, you can probably win the game with a knife. I think it's the same, probably. I think there's one with a banana. I think this.
I think it was a chocolate.
Whatever.
But you shouldn't change the time. It's like the attitudes. We display them and we don't want to make
Actually, I made up my mind about attitudes. I think we should crawl as skills. These are numbers, and the average is 100. 60 is very good, and 200 is very bad. And it matters how good some races at doing something and learning something. And this is very, very good because this simple mechanic allows you to differentiate races very well, infinite race, and that is learning very quickly how to fight and how to use the skill, but it's very bad at learning to manage. This is good, and this also has its limitations. But we have this on a scale of 10, so we have 100, 110, 90, 80, and I'm convinced by now that this game is too fine. We should make it more cost, and we should use words or maybe just numbers 1 to 9 instead of numbers 100 and 110. This is So we are failing more information than actually is needed. So we should try to get out this information.
Yeah, my point might be with that, with experience. There's this tendency for experience to be given as a number, which is like, 1,500,322, experience, and then you kill the rat, you get one more thing, and you're like, ding, the next experience level, 3 million. And it's, usually I think it's much better if the user only gets the experience bar, showing, I'm 75% done. Like, I kill the rat, the bar doesn't move because it's less than a pixel. Well, yeah, you shouldn't be, because the trouble is if you see it go up by 1 when you kill a rat, like, oh, I only have to do this 1 million more times. Okay. And then someone will sit there and kill a rat 1 million times.
This is like hitting rest.
Yeah, hitting rest to get experience,
It's only 1 million times that you're there.
Yeah.
Actually, in Chrome we have stopped showing the total experience on the main screen because it's so used as a number. And you're right.
But the players contest it.
What I did with Powder very early on is you don't have exponential increase in experience, like costs. It's always 1,000 experience to go to the next level, and so it always shows your experience, which is a number between 0 and 999. And so it's just as you gain more levels, you get less experience from killing creatures, right?
Okay.
So the experience you get, it's the same thing, but the advantage is there's always a short number for the user.
It's a good point.
And you know how much missing because
keeping numbers small and keep the scale small.
Yes.
What you say.
Yes, that's really important. And we should do it.
Because in most cases, good, medium, and bad learning something should surface.
Yeah, I think I talked to the guy of Steamboat about it. We wrote some this, and I think he did some psychology, and he made a scale of 7 is usually more than enough. And of course, we had a scale of probably 20. And of course, and then they start debating about 150 and 140 attributes, but it doesn't matter at all, and you tell them and they won't believe, because 140 is so much better than 150, but it doesn't matter. And they can't see it.
So it's like whenever it's addressed new species, it's always, and this has 135 and this.
Yes, exactly. And of course, when we are designing species, we will say, well, it's good at this, and even better at this, and it's bad at this, and this. And if we are thinking in these terms, and we do, then we should probably also design in these terms.
But it's probably tricky to keep the balance.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think it can be done. We should simply start with a 9 or 10 scale level, just numbers from 1 to 9 or 0 to 9, and then we should go on from there.
That gets into my pet system of speed systems, where I like very coarse speed systems of normal speed, slow, fast, very fast.
I see that. This is clever.
And I think it also comes to the point of complexity that the player builds up in his mind if it's not there. Even if you only have slow, medium, and fast, I'm sure players will construct something much more elaborate in their mind. So he's using 300 levels behind it, but he's only showing us levels 1 to 100 is slow, medium, and beyond 300 is fast.
As a player, players want to be defeated.
Speed system, I find it important that what I don't like is something like color dancing, or if the speed system is too predictable, you don't have a random element in the movement, you can
exploit it.
I actually like that exploit.
Okay.
Well, my justification, because I know it's hard to justify in some ways, is twofold. First of all, if it's not predictable, I can't predict double attacks. And so I must always assume I'm going to get a double attack the next round.
Yeah.
And so that means, like I said, I'm fighting the dude and now from the situation, like, do I try and do one more punch and hope I kill him? Or do I run away now? And I know I should, if I was a good player, just run away at that point, right? But I'm a bad player. So I want to gamble and go again. And so I sort of like being able to say, okay, I know that I'm going to survive this next hit. But if I go in the next round, he gets 2 attacks against me, I'm like, that was not expected. And so I like predictable ones where I can sort of figure that out. And the pillar dancing, I think, is something which is like, if you have this sort of fixed predictable speed system, you have to take that into account with your level design to ensure that if you pillar dance too long with the creature, someone else is going to join the fight. And that's what limits pillar dancing. Sure, you can walk in circles and fight it once at a time, but eventually someone else Like in Powder, the monsters are always being created and showing up and wandering in. We'll get into the fight and also you can't kill our dance with you know, two creatures.
Yes,
They were just run out of food or something else.
Yeah.
But I think it's a bit off topic, but I think in terms of the point of when does what's exactly the difference between an exploit and a tactic? In a certain way, you say, okay, that's kind of an imbalanced part of the game. It's an exploit. The player shouldn't do this and this and this because in other words, that's also a tactic that the game.
Yeah, but you get the heal during your running away, so in the middle of the fight.
No, I would say with pillar dancing in particular, it's maybe a tactic that's too strong because of the way the game is designed. Because another enemy doesn't join the fight in the middle. Or
It's
because
heal too quickly.
or you heal too quickly, or you wouldn't run out of food or something like that. But if this point would have been addressed, I think it could have just been a better tactic.
I think
like escaping and healing is also.
Or running into a corridor, so I only have to fight one enemy at once is you know, the Bilbo Baggins exploit, right? You know, in some massive multiplayer online role-playing games, they ban people for hiding in corners and shooting fireballs in because they couldn't be attacked back. And it's like, well, isn't that a good tactic? But there they called it an exploit. Was and you know, Angband or Powder, if you got a double-sized creature in Powder and you hide down a corridor, throw stuff out, it's like, yeah, you're smart.
I think I draw the line in a very simple way between this. Player dancing is bad, so an exploit because it's boring. That's the problem. I don't mind if player dancing works if it's quick, but usually it's not quick. It takes a lot of time, especially if you have a lot of health points. So this is why I'm really unhappy with it. I've seen players do it. I've done it myself, and it's just boring. And that's why it has to go. That's the reason.
So it's grinding.
It's grinding. That's too much grinding.
I agree. That's my big problem with it is where it becomes. If it's the thing you have to do, it becomes boring.
Actually, it is true that after the first few levels of crawls is not needed anymore. It's probably also dangerous. It's often possible and much often better to do something different, like teleport away or something. But early on, it's some.
But you don't have the resources in the beginning.
Yes, exactly. Early on, you don't have anything else, and I think it should just be limited in some way. And we didn't make up our minds on how, but we should do something more.
Yeah, because in Powder, the only time I do the pillar dance or back and throw, like back and slash type approach, is really only when I'm fighting some creature like a cockatrice that I really can't be attacked by.
Yeah.
And so often rather than do it with boredom, I'll try and block it in a room or escape for another day type thing.
But I'm pretty confident about it. If I or we think something is boring, then we should do something about it. If it's boring to us, it will be boring to the players as well.
But how much responsibility do people have not to play the game in a boring fashion?
Oh, they will do. The players will happily bore themselves to that.
Yeah, but I mean, isn't that their fault then? Like, at some
No,
level.
it's your fault as a designer.
Like, I've made the game. It's fun to play in a certain way, which you said to play it in. I mean, people can also save scum, right? And the fact they save scum and becomes boring, well, I shouldn't go over to their house and hit them with the head and prevent their computer from save scumming. It's like, that's sort of an invasion of their
No. Your fault is you have allowed. You have added in the game that is completely legal, so you allowed it, your fault, to bore players to let themselves. That's your fault.
Or it's not legal, it's that it's encouraged.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Usually, the things that are boring are usually also things that work and are good. And this is where the grinding comes from. This is why I'm against it. So it's our fault to remove the grinding. And I think they always said on YouTube, well, if you don't like PewDiePie, if you don't like putting farming, then don't do it. But it's a pretty stupid reasoning. I mean, it is there. It is incredibly strong. It is terribly boring, but it can be done, and you get something out of it. So it's always the designer's fault. If you think it's bad, we should take steps to remove it.
I do agree with that. I was being the devil's advocate. I mean, I don't polypile or put in farm because I get very bored quickly.
Yeah.
But
of course, I know
I thought about both of them in Powder to try and avoid.
Yeah.
So in Angband, I read some manuals, and they exactly explain the speed system, how it works, and I really don't want to have to know this to actually beat a monster or. Well, depends.
Or at least let's put it this way: if you play Hangman, you can play Hangman long enough without dying, so or when you die not often enough, you can still play it and just learn it intuitively from your experience as player.
Do you think that's possible?
I don't know, but it's just not really experience building. It's just you die one time and then you play start from level 0 to the same spot again. I think this is just another level of patience.
This is a very principal question about this. If the exploit is there, and the players can use it, and it's not necessary in the game, and so it's pretty stupid, but still do it. Who's to blame? I think we are to blame. We are just having this discussion with Labyrinth. Crawl has made these are port walls, you can find them, and then when you're in there, it's amazing. So it's one level of weight, it's 80 by 70, so it's quite large, and you have to get somewhere where the Minotaur is. Then you can kill the Minotaur, and then it's a route. Okay. And in order to make it not as boring, the labyrinth, there is no mapping. So you only see the stuff you really can see, but the stuff you can't see is not mapped. So this is supposed to be fun and it works. Of course, somebody could draw them on graph paper, and this is insane. Nobody would do it. Two players have done. So now the question is who's to blame? So I think it is us, and I tried to explain it. For several reasons, players discussed it with me about labyrinths, and I told them this is not urgent, but the principal deficit, and I would like to address it in some way. And I think the only way to address it is by making the labyrinths change over time. So the drawing has no sense because you can not be sure that the part you just drew will be the same in 20 turns. Okay, so and they even tagged me. They said could we do it and so on. And then some days later, someone came up with a newer script that actually does all the mapping. So now it's there. Now the problem is real. Now everybody can do this script in order to they can use this script in order to map it. The script will just move you to the Minotaur. You don't have to do anything. It just walks for you. And it's like automated exploration. So this kind of just proves in a fast forward that we have to do something. The problem is real and we have to do something. We have been using an interface penalty in order to add something to the gameplay. But we have only hurt ourselves because we didn't actually add something to the gameplay, we just made the game worse. So we should have thought harder about how to do it in a better way, or if we can't, we should throw out the labyrinth. So this is, I think, the exploit was there. Two players actually mapped it for different reasons. I mean, if you enter with little food, that's okay. And if then the right hand was broken for both players for some reason, which can happen. It's not a bug. And then they started mapping. So then of course it was sensible to enter with that little food because they could expect that the food was enough to get in there when they noted that the right hand rule would not work anymore. It was sensible, and there were no food. It was sensible to start mapping it, and then of course then the harm was done. So it was our fault that they had to map, and it is our responsibility in order to either throw levels out or make them work in a way that does not fall back to mapping.
What would you say about Sokoban and NetHack? Is that an exploit for me to have how to solve it? Because I'm bad. I get to Sokoban, I'll look up what's the solution online.
You look it up? I was
doing it. Look it up. I did the first couple levels, but the later ones, it's like, there's one of them where it's like, I couldn't figure out how to do it.
I remember that some time.
I solved everything, and then I drew it up in little steps, so that I had 50-step iterations, which I had to go through, then I loaded this file, and I saw the map. It was very complicated.
I never do this. Anyway, I think it's not the same. So I think.
How's it different than mountain?
Yes, I can tell you. So the first thing is that adding the Sokoban, as it has been to NetHack, was a bad idea because it takes something from a different puzzle and adds it to a roguelike, and a crucial piece is missing: the randomness. our labyrinths are random. The Sokoban levels are always the same. I think it would be really worth it, and I said on YouTube, but many other others too, it would be really worth it to come up with mediocre random Sokoban levels, but rather than really well-made fixed Sokoban levels. If you can't make random Sokoban levels, you should sort out.
I think the labyrinth was a lot more boring than any Sokoban levels.
From the sounds of Labyrinth, I'd say it's a lot more boring. So
Actually, there's something to it. It's not completely boring because in a stroke of genius, Darcy added 3 colors. There are rock walls, stone walls, and metal walls. The Minotaur lives in the metal, and you usually start off in the rock, so you are wandering aimlessly, or you are doing the right hand, it doesn't matter. And then you
notice when you get closer.
Yeah, and then you see the stone, and then you see that it's closer, and then you also know in which direction you want to go. So it's not that stupid. You don't have to do the full labyrinth, but you really know where you want to go to. So it's not that bad. For example, I never use the right hand rule. I just rely on intuition. I know where I want to, and I have a way feeling where I've been to, and then that's enough to go to the Minotaur. So it's not that bad. You don't have to walk through an 80 by 70 labyrinth.
You might have to make it smaller.
Yes, we might have to make it smaller, but at least the labyrinth is trying to be random, and it has random root, it has a random layout, and in this sense, there is a puzzle game that still stays completely in the roguelike world. Whereas the Sokoban levels are completely preset, they're spoilers.
I think it's really a puzzle game. It's not that
Sokoban?
So I didn't find it very difficult.
There are players who hate it.
And there are scrolls of herbs even deposited for you.
No, you know what I would say would be most interesting with Sokoban is that what annoys me about Sokoban isn't the puzzle being there, but it violates that sort of freedom that I came to expect from NetApp. This whole concept that they went to a lot of work to make the boulders special boulders, to make all the obvious cheats, either give you a luck penalty or not be allowed or whatever. It's like, I should be able to break a boulder.
Boulders don't behave like they should be. You can't wall them diagonally.
Yeah, it's like, okay, maybe if that was reduced, I should be able to break with a pickaxe and not have a luck penalty, you know? I should be able to use the scrolls of earth. They have a luck penalty, don't they?
Yes.
It's like I should be able to just use them. Like, they shouldn't come predefined.
The luck penalty, okay, people think it's so bad, but in fact,
yes, but
that's exactly why it shouldn't have been there. Because it isn't so bad, and people who like solving the Sokoban puzzle can do it properly, and people who like breaking the puzzle can break it and get through it quickly. It sort of would be then it would feel like more like NetHack. I'm like, yeah, there's this puzzle. It's sort of like, but I'm the big barbarian. I'll just create a bunch of boulders and shove them in, and I don't care what the right order is.
Yeah.
I think the Sokoban is bad for two things. First of all, it's not random; it's always the same, which is pretty bad. Except
there's some choices. Which one is?
Yes, I know. I know all of them. I played them several times, so I know all of them by heart. And I don't think it would have much to add more. I think you should really try to write a random Sokoban generator or leave it.
I don't want to solve. It's not a puzzle. You don't want to solve all the solve puzzles.
Yes,
you should push boulders, pushing boulders. So
why is
it's
not a puzzle?
Yes, why is it? There's a reminiscence to Sokoban, just like you have the group of sort. And I think it should be random. It shouldn't be perfect like the current Sokoban levels are very well, and we only have one or two boulders to spare. It should be random, and there should be no penalties at all. It should just be a hint that you could do Sokoban with a level, but that you don't have to. And of course, what is really bad is power gaming spiral. There's four guaranteed ones, and there's a guaranteed twice, and you can know it at once. I think this is terrible. I mean, the loop must be random. It is not so. This is power gaming.
My interpretation would be to move Sokoban earlier in the dungeon, and like tone down its loot accordingly. Keep it with these nice boulders and clever pre-made level type stuff, right? But the idea being that by moving all the penalties for the cheating ways of doing it, and then like early on in the dungeon I don't have all those cheating mechanisms. So I've got a choice. I can play Sokoban properly and get the prize right now, or I can go further in the dungeon and look for a pickaxe and enormous lines or something like that to cheat my way through.
But I think at the point where you reach Sokoban, you have truly some access to a pickaxe.
Yeah, that's why it's sort of gone too deep right now. I think it should be higher up.
Yeah. The level itself, it has, it's below the oracle.
Yeah.
If it's on level 6 or so, so when it goes up, it's really just, it's larger level 2.
Yes, but of course you could change it. You could make the other way around. You could make it go down to on top of the bottom.
Or go to move, turn into a tower. You get to look out windows on the side and see the plains of Endor or whatever.
Yeah, so I think Zoom is a pretty bad idea from several design point of view. So I think it has been mentioned on YouTube. So many players are really not happy with that.
Well, last time I played the real game. This was fun. Actually, one that nice.
Yeah, so I think one of the bad aspects is the great internal consistency. I mean, you have great internal rules of netting in order to make the supervisor level behave as the developers want to. This is a bit like we in the algorithm have to change the citing rule, and this is just not good. It is a bad move, and it turned out to be bad, and we should take the necessary steps after that.
This is why I was really worried when I did the Builder's library when the bottom levels of powder, where there's this locked door that you have to unlock through some magical technique. But then you're like, oh, what about if people want to dig through the doors, teleport through, etc. So I disabled all those techniques. And sort of like I felt very bad doing it because it's sort of like you get it's sort of like the big trouble. It's sort of like being a really bad dungeon master at a pencil game. Really bad concept.
It's increased freedom to restrict the rules.
Yeah, but you're doing it to spite the player.
Yeah.
And it's like, let's say we're playing tabletop role playing, and you get some random loot table, and you get a wand of fire or a flaming sword that does like massive damage against cold creatures. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll stop sending cold creatures against you. I'm now going to send fire dragons against you. Haha, your sword is useless. And you know, there's that temptation on the part of the designer to counteract the advantages that the player just got. But the trouble is, the good dungeon master says, you got the fire sword, okay, the next campaign I'm going to set is going to be in Icelands, so you can really show off how powerful the sword is. You fight more powerful creatures than you could otherwise, so you could sense the power of that sword.
Yeah.
And that goes back to me saying with Zelda, what surprised me with it is they go into the dungeon, they give you the prize at the beginning, saying, here's the really powerful weapon for this, or item for this dungeon, now go use it in the dungeon and show how powerful you are.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's why I think the distinction between exploit and tactics. This is not philosophical. It really goes up. Of course, in this algorithm, the discussion where the drawing it is hopeless. It was then philosophical until the Lua patch came out, and from that moment on, it's only some weeks ago, it has become urgent out of the sudden. So we have to do something.
Say some days ago, it's more the point.
Yeah, maybe some days. Yeah, so this is of course the really bad problem of Fnatic is that the dev team doesn't care about what's going on. That's a bad thing.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Oh, what is
forgot the power for my laptop.
That's can you help me? Do you miss the train?
Oh no, I have 25 minutes. So
It's mine. Sorry.
I can send it your way if you find it.
No, it's like this, but with round table.
Oh yeah, yours is plugged in here. This one?
Yes. Sorry for that.
No need to afford a night.
You can cook for long cargo.
I got it. I have to go.
I have to also go cook something.
I'm not good. Yes, I do. It's a good reason. You are.
Bye.
Yes. Hurry up. Good luck.
Goodbye.
You are excused. Yeah, Cody.
What excuse do you have? What excuse do you have?
No, I have to bring food.
We just wrap up shortly then?
Sorry?
We can just wrap up shortly the discussion and
Yeah, perhaps it's a good idea to just make a list and send it around. Could you add us to the email?
I don't know what does.
And then I would suggest to write this up, the discussion of today. Just the list that we came up with the new topics, and then perhaps it's good to send it around once to all the participants so that we can have a look, and then that's okay.
just register yourself in the wiki. Do you know the work basin? There's
Yeah, I know it.
There's a page for this wiki.
Yeah.
So the Russia
Yeah.
And the list of participants.
And I will do the same with my talk of today. I'll just present a PDF file there maybe tomorrow, and so you can read it. And I would like to ask if you have any feedback, and if yes, I will incorporate it, and if not, then it's okay.
Okay, we want to also discuss how we said that we will also, other than the video, we will also put online our presentation.
Yeah.
Who's organizing, so
We have one organizing, yeah.
that's what we should maybe decide. So just because it only needs a couple of links and I don't know, 10 megabytes on the web with all the PDF files.
Yeah. So I guess if people can get their presentations done up, they just have the PowerPoint and haven't done a PDF file yet. And because one of the things I was thinking was if we get enough PDF files, we might send it off to be printed or something. Actual proceedings.
Okay, so I can Polish. Okay, so I can take it and or the papers in there where he wrote down.
That would be really good, yes.
Take over because I don't think he will come back.
Yeah.
I think you are more likely to meet him again than Chris was on this place.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Stop or continue? Like, are we going to come to a conclusion?
I'm assuming we're just going to edit out all this last 5 minutes.
Oh, that's the whole question: is do we actually? Some poor sap has to edit everything.
because we have a lot of hours of video shot. I have the presentations as separate files. The day one stuff has been copied to, I think you have a copy.
I have a copy. But if you the stuff from today, I could.
Okay.
This also I have.
It's the trouble is it takes probably about 40 minutes to copy it off the camera.
Okay.
So it ends up being USB 1 or something. So.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to get that one out to
Yeah.
the next chunk of catalog.
Okay, so do we have we don't have anything to say to
The camera.
Plans for
Keep to the
future.
roots.
Okay, but it's kind of to be build up attention to the next meeting because this film is going to end up with you saying something about Sokoban and then what is coming in the film starts.
Yeah. Then the fight starts.
And of course, we accuse him of death thing of not being ethical anymore.
Oh, that's that's what.
And
So when
the
when
bug
you
is,
bring out new learning computers, so
it's moving. There are always adding something to the
Yes,
bugs.
you need one person in order just to add these bugs to the web page and write fix things to it. So that's not. That doesn't mean any background action going on besides bug fixing.
Yeah, but those bug fixes aren't that difficult. So
Yes, that's why one person
putting it onto the depends how much background work you're already doing.
well, after so many years, you expect some huge development with the same.
it's no longer necessary. Everything is already perfect.
Yeah, it's just what we talked about.
Yeah, well, have I told you my car has a number, is the version number of NetHack. And if a new version of NetHack comes up, I have to buy a new car. So, dev team, you have some time.
Well, I think they managed to. So when we started rogueliking, I think NetHack was the pinnacle of the top, and I think they somehow by being inactive they managed to lose that. That's to do nothing.
I don't know. Going to Adon is a better example of that.
Well, it's the same. Actually, there's a difference because Adon was kind of hopeless because it is closed source, whereas in NetHack someone stood up and tried to do something. That is their great. So there's at least something. But on the other hand, I'm not sure, but I think that this could talk a lot more to his players than NetHack that right? So sometimes one did the mistake of closed source, the other did the mistake of complete opaqueness, and so I think both can kill a large project of this size. Both are okay if you're small, but none of them is okay if you're.
Yeah, but I think there's a point to be made that I think you should be allowed to finish a roguelike. And actually, one of the reasons why I pushed for the someday roguelike challenges was I liked the idea of a roguelike that I was done, and I didn't have to go back to and add more features to it. And so, like, even if you don't like Sokoban, well, yeah, that's a word for whatever. That doesn't mean they have to fix everything. Adon's a bit different because there's still bugs to be fixed, right? So you could say those have to be done, but there should be a point where the developer can walk away. And so maybe
this is okay, but
what real failure is to refuse to officially walk away. I don't know, but then again, you can't really do that as a person to know that you're done. And that's an even harder thing to require people than to write such a great thing in the first place. So we should just maybe accept that they're done and move on.
Yes, okay, that's fine. But usually you would expect that well, NetHack is not done in the sense that there are many flaws that are being debated for 10 years now on a news group. That is obvious. So of course, if they would have handed over the code to someone who's eager to do something about it, then they would have given a non-perfect project to be compared over time. They are not doing
that. Sporthack? What is now doing?
Yes, I like almost all the changes directly doing. So but in some sense he's 5 years late, so it could have been done 5 years ago.
Yeah, but
well, the wizard patch was the same thing, right? The wizard patch way back when that basically was brought into the main source code to address the broken spellcasting system they had.
I know. I'm talking to Derek a lot because he's now an avid code player. It's very interesting to talk to him because he's a designer and he has very critical views on everything. So it's really interesting to get him.
He's given excellent feedback on patch.
I saw. And then he told me. So of course I asked him about the state of NetHack and he told me that he sent his stuff to the dev team and he asked about, but there was only lukewarm response and no one was really interested. So the feeling was there was absolutely no fire anywhere behind them. So that is, and it's completely okay to fade out. I mean, perhaps if you have a family and so on, and there's so many things that are more interesting to you, but you could still hand it over at least for a project that is as living as NetHack. I mean, they have tons of contributors on the spider pages, on the patches, but they're doing nothing with it. They just let it run.
In the past, it was the patch hack, there was patch hack, or always there was some side project that was some modification of NetHack that somehow became popular. And when it became popular enough, then sometimes the dev team actually created a new version. I think you have to put some, unless there is some variant of NetHack that actually becomes more popular, this could give it a fire.
I don't think any of the variants ever is popular with NetHack. And also really now the coder will say, suddenly, we forgot to start coding. It's a long process, so they be very pushy. So okay, it's time we finish up.
I don't
think the dungeon crawl stone soup is more commonly used than dungeon crawl.
Dungeon crawl is instead.
And dungeon crawl actually is very similar to the NetHack situation, which is the NetHack situation today. Namely, it had gone into an opaque development process,
Yeah.
which was working on it.
Yeah.
And actually, there we knew he was actively working on it, just like the bugs being fixed. And the variant came out and took over.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's actually, I think Dungeon Crawl was quiet longer than NetHack was quiet before that transition. I'm sure.
No, that's not. I think that the last release by their brand that was that alpha of 4.1 that is unplayable, but someone recently has one is
No, that one was done after many years of pestering to release that. So I'd say the last release was the one before that.
do you know when V26 was released?
Which, yeah, that was like a long time ago.
2002.
Okay, 2002, and then maybe it was
I mean,
2006.
2002 that the last version changed, I think.
Yeah, and then 2006 was maybe 4.1 or 2005. I don't know, 3 years. Yeah. But I think that
2006 was when we took over.
yeah, I think that there's a difference, and the difference is that the ivory tower approach of the NetHack dev team, and I think that's really probably. I mean, and Crawl was never that big, but NetHack always had its own use group. It has tons of contributions, and it was all just going to waste. This is really,
Oh yeah, we
really
did a
sad.
patch and nobody wanted it.
Yeah. For example, we have written a patch, and I think it was a pretty good idea. And I tried to approach the dev team, but they wouldn't even answer. So this is.
I think the game balance would go nuts if you actually take every patch or
No.
if you take the big patches.
No. You shouldn't take the big patches. You should take your player serious. I mean, I have lots. I see lots of stuff. People want to do something for Crawl, and people did something for Crawl, and it will not work out. But I'm personally, I'm taking it serious. Right? So this is the problem.
You don't have to take it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, let's wrap this up then.
Yeah.
So.
Next convention, we're going to see the next 4 roguelikes being finished, like Powder, something with Stealth by Idle.
Yeah.
And Crawl will be finished, right? Crawl will be finished?
Yeah, finished by 2009.
Yeah.
We have a deadline.
And the SQL based.
Yes,
roguelike.
at least the road flow.
Excellent.